Today on Whiskey Sour, we're pouring a glass from someone whose palate is as sharp as her voice and whose storytelling hits as deep as her first sip. She's an award winning and lifestyle creator based in Harlem, the go to guide for where to eat, drink, and explore NYC and beyond. Whether she's uncovering hidden gems around town, celebrating Black owned businesses, and pairing the perfect wine with an unforgettable meal, she brings passion, warmth, and a fresh lens to every experience. By day, she's mastering operations, and by night, she's mastering your feed with food, wine, travel, and community centered stories that make every plate and pour feel personal. Please welcome to the show my friend, because I get to say that she's my friend. Please welcome to the show, Miss Dominek Tubbs of Dom in the City.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Dom.
Hi, doll. How's it going, my friend?
You know me before people would call me Dom. Like, nobody called me Dom back then, for real. Not like that, for real. Maybe a little.
Really?
I don't know. I feel like Dom really stuck after I moved to the East Coast.
Really?
It really stuck.
I'm shocked. I thought we all did.
I feel like we did it, like, because we both were Doms. We both
maybe, you know.
But yeah, so
look, Dominek and I, and it's so cool. First of all, I don't even know another Dominek outside of you. Let's just make that really clear.
There's very few of us.
There are very few of us, and I think the ones that I have met in passing, the energy has always really been really like vibey and great. So I think we're kind of dope people. But Dominek and I met when we worked at Baker's, and I don't know if anybody remembers that, shoe store back in the day, but we were the Baker babes.
We really were the Baker's girls.
Slanging shoes, purses, accessories, and shoe grips all over the city of St. Louis and the Illinois area.
So true. I had 8 years of my life there. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yes, I did 5 years and then left and went to Nordstrom, and from Nordstrom I came to LA. And I think about that time often because I think that was the last time I probably experienced pure joy because I didn't have rent. The only bill I was paying was my phone bill.
Girl, I want to go back.
I want to go back so bad. So, from us knowing each other at Baker's, we became really great friends. We would hang out outside of work, and I have watched you grow into the beautiful woman that you are today. And I admire you so much, and you inspire me so much. And seeing you push, ahead and creating your lane out in the big city of New York. So I want to kind of get into the origins of Dom in the City. So my first question to you is going to be, what came for you first? The love of food, the love of wine, or the art of storytelling?
I love it. That's a really good question because the art of storytelling, I think, came first, which is kind of crazy. I remember being a kid. I think I had to been like 8 years old or something like that. And I'm a military brat. So at this point in time, me, my mom, my dad, my brother, we were all living in Portugal. And I just remember my mom being like, "We're going to go buy your first journal today." And she was like, "I want you to pick out one. I want you to pick out one that has a lock so you can feel like this is a safe space to share your stories, how your day went." And I just remember that so vividly. It's funny because I'm back into journaling and scrapbooking and junk journaling, all the things, whatever the kids are calling it now. I'm in a journal. I'm writing things on pages and I'm gluing things down. But I just remember that was the beginning, and I would write about my day. And I still have my first journal. Life was so simple. I'd be like, X, Y, and Z didn't look at me today. I still think he's cute. And I'm just like, girl, and I'd be like, "He was my name, but I know his. He's my first love." I'm like, girl, he didn't even know you existed. But it was great because it allowed me to express, feelings. And I think that was so
Mm-hmm.
important. But actually, if I think about it, that was the beginning of storytelling for me because I would always also do this thing. I think it's called creative authors in school. Anyways, every year you would like write a book, you would like
Mm-hmm.
do the illustrations, and you would get it bound. So storytelling came first. My love of food has always existed. My mom attended culinary school, so for us, dinner is a place where we like talk about our day, talk about what we're going through. We have seconds and thirds because that's normal, but it's like a place where we truly bonded. So I never really understood people who like eat dinner like I don't know, at the TV or like different rooms from their family members because it was required for us to
Yeah.
sit down together as a family and eat. So storytelling, food, and then wine came later because I was drinking it so much. I said, "Girl, let me learn more about this stuff. If I'm gonna keep drinking it," and then I decided to get like a certification for wine.
Okay. Tell us a little more about the certification for wine. Like, are you venturing into the world of being a sommelier, or,
Yeah.
I know that it's such a small percentage of people that look like us in this space, and I think shockingly, I know two sommeliers that are black, and they're both from St. Louis, but still, it's such a like. I think it was like 2 or 3% of sommeliers are like black people. So in that, is that where you kind of see yourself going?
Yeah, as I'm sipping my wine, literally. So I got into wine, like I said. I always feel like if there's something that you really love and you want to share with others, it's important for you to educate yourself on it. So education can just be YouTube, it could be reading books, but I wanted to take a more formal approach to it. So what I did was I took a course through a education, what's called an education group. It's called WSET, and they do it for like wine, sake, beer, spirits. And so what I did was I did level 1 and level 2. And you have to
Okay.
like take a test. You got to study for it. You know, it was a commitment. Like I had to go to class once a week. I had to taste wines, which it's just really taxing. To drink wine during class. But what I did was I wanted to do this because I want people who look like us to feel comfortable ordering wine or feel comfortable knowing what they do or what they don't like about wine. Because what I come across is people who are like, I just don't like wine. But really, what it is that you haven't been educated on it or you don't understand what about the winemaking process produced this characteristic of it that you don't like. For example, some people
Right.
hate red wine because it makes their mouth super dry. But what you actually hate is tannins, high tannins, and that's that mouth drying sensation you get. So,
Hmm.
like, helping people to understand, like, well, maybe you don't need to do as dry of a red wine. Maybe you need to find like a red blend. Maybe you need to find a red that you can chill, or something that's like a little bit more juicy. So my purpose of going into this, now, if God wants me to become a somm, and for those who don't know, a somm is normally the definition of somebody who manages like a cellar or a wine list. So they're going to be working in a restaurant or working in a wine bar. So I don't know if that's the journey that my path will go, but I know that my path right now is just educating people that look like me and making this space feel less pretentious.
I love it. So go back to the statement because you said something really interesting. Maybe you need a wine, like a red wine that's chilled. Because the first thing that everybody do is they'll put wine in the refrigerator, and I'm like, wait, what blend is that? Like, it doesn't need to go into the fridge,
Mhm.
and it might be something that's better at room temp or whatever. So, can you explain that a little more for the our viewers and our listeners?
Yeah, definitely. So most full body reds don't need to be chilled. And so sometimes people are like, what does full body mean? Because all I know is that this wine's in my mouth. My mouth is full.
Yeah.
But like there is like light, medium, and full body. And the best way to describe like the different sensations in your mouth is like think about how water feels in your mouth. So light.
Hmm.
Think about how like a juice would feel in your mouth, like a mango juice. That would be medium. And then think about how like something thick, like you can say milk would feel in your mouth. Like, what was that sensation that your tongue would feel if you were drinking it? So normally, your full body wines are going to be at room temp, and then your medium to light can normally be something that you chill slightly. So we ain't talking about Arctic ice cold, y'all. By the way, but yeah, so it's like you chill it in the fridge, take it out, give it 20 minutes to like warm up a little bit, and then go ahead and pour yourself a glass. But normally, like red blends are going to be something that you chill. A Beaujolais is something that you're going to chill because it's like a big, juicy red wine. And when I say like juicy, like I think think of it as like ripe, like juicy and ripe, versus like dried fruit, if that makes any sense.
Makes sense to me because I get it.
Yeah.
I've seen people put ice in their wine, and I am just looking at them like, okay, that's an interesting choice, but no judgment here, but just interesting.
Now,
And
what I will tell you is you'll see people put ice in rosé sometimes, and they do it in the south of France. Like so it's something that so they'll put it in there. It's like it almost gives you like this spritzer kind of feel.
okay, then that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But just in your red wine, yeah, to each their own.
To each their own. I'll never yuck somebody's yum, which is my favorite thing to say.
Like I've been in situations with people that have like certain and as a quirky person, I'll lead with that. But I have seen people do interesting things when we go out to dine together, to commune together, and I'm like, I don't know if I would do this again. So with this person, so that I pay attention to little things like that just kind of take me aback. So like people bring their own tea bags to restaurants.
Yeah,
I don't want to go out with you again. So
you gotta love somebody from dining with them. And that's why I say you can't dine with everybody. Just like you can't travel with everybody, you can't dine with everybody. Because if you got too many dietary restrictions, how are we supposed to order like drug dealers and order the whole menu? How?
Okay, so in my defense, I have a shellfish allergy.
That's okay. That's fine. But there'd be some people like, I don't eat tomatoes, I don't eat lettuce, I don't eat onions. I'm like, girl, what do you like? At this point, you need to stay home and cook.
That's what I was gonna say. What do you eat?
Allergies, yes, because we need you in the land of living. But
that's the big thing that a lot of people won't. They're like, oh, it's just a lot. Like I really can't. I'm like, and that's cool, And I tell people, I'm like, if that is your concern, or even I'll remove myself from the situation depending on how heavy the restaurant is, on shellfish. And I hate fish in general. So I'm like, oh, I can meet you for a drink, like I'll meet you at the bar after or whatever, just so it's just no confusion because I've had a lot of issues over the summer. So I'd rather play it safe.
Yeah, we don't need that. Like I said, we need you in the land of the living.
So, Dime in the City feels very personal. What part of your life is immersed into the brand that people might not realize?
What part of the brand is immersed that people might not realize? I feel like people should know this, but intentionality is something that I really try to make sure that's part of my brand. I feel like I could showcase any restaurant in New York City, or I could accept any dining invitation from a restaurant, but I really want to make sure that the restaurants that I'm showcasing are like the ones that you want to return to again. I want to make sure that like the story that the chef is telling is clearly listed out in their menu. Like I don't want no confusion. Like what's going on here? What's the story? So I think intentionality is like the biggest thing that I really take time to really work through when I'm like creating like a video. Also, I edit like almost all my videos on my computer because I'm a millennial and I like to do things from a desktop. So it's a lot of time. It's very a time consuming thing, even just to pump out like one reel a week. And then also like when I'm going through and I'm making a video, like I'm scripting it to make sure that I give you all the information that you need in like 90 seconds or less. So I think it's just like the amount of time that I really put into it. And I'm also really thoughtful because I was a judge for the James Beard Awards previously. And the way that the James Beard Awards really looks at restaurants, they're like, okay, what are they doing within their community? How are they treating their staff? What is the story being told here? Is it authentic? So whenever I post about a restaurant, like I'm thinking through all of that because I believe that my community deserves the best. And also in this economy, we can't be just spending our money just anywhere.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So for people who don't know about the James Beard Award, like what exactly is that award?
Yeah. The best way for me to describe it is it's like the Grammys or the Oscars for the culinary space. So this is where people are being crowned like emerging chef or best chef in New York State, or best hospitality. So there's so many different categories that people can be listed for. But yeah, so it's like our Grammys, and it's a very long and time consuming process that the voting committee has to go through. So it's like you see it, but you don't understand how much time has went on in the background.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what it is. It's something that's specific to the U.S. Unlike the Michelin is something that's global. You'll see it in other countries, but James Beard Award is specifically for the United States.
I love that. So when we talk about Dom in the City and what you curate and the time that it takes, um, in the ever-changing realm of social media and algorithms, um, how are you ensuring or what are you doing to make sure that your posts are coming across the proper channels? Because we've seen people get kind of flustered and frustrated as the algorithm changes, and right now they're saying monthly they want a minimum of 12 reels to push you up,
Yeah.
which is crazy. It's a lot, and when we really think about it in hindsight, do we have it a lot of that content in our phones? Yes, but also burnout is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so my part two to that question is how do you manage the burnout or preventing the burnout?
Yeah. In terms of the algorithm, I stopped trying to keep up with it. I know that
Okay.
sounds really, really crazy, especially as someone who's like almost chronically online, but I try to keep a healthy relationship with social media. So I try to consume less that I create. So sometimes that means I just have to like not be on there. And every week Instagram is telling us something new that they want us to do, because obviously they want to keep us on the platform. Because
Hmm.
the more that we're on the platform, the more money they make, the more data they collect, right? So what I really focus on is just like authenticity and quality. So I'm thinking about like, how does my audio sound? Like, I know that people think that like visuals matter, but actually it's audio first, a little bit of
Yes.
storytelling in there. Strong visuals are important as well too. So that's what I really focus on. It's authenticity and creating quality. Because I was actually telling my friends the other day, I was like, I think I need to post more often. Like, I didn't think I need to post like 3 times a week. And my friends like, you know what? If you only posted one fire ass reel a week, that's of quality. That's all I need to hear from you. And I'm like, and that person is somebody who I would consider like part of my community online, or somebody who would be trying to target to follow me and become part of my community. So that's what I do. I just continue to stay authentic, continue to find ways to add value, because that is what's going to attract people and keep people. I think sometimes people are chasing virality, and that's actually not the best thing for your platform sometimes, because you bring people who are not actually interested in what you provide, right? They're
Yeah.
interested in this one thing that you delivered that went viral. So the way that I answer your first question is staying authentic, strong audio, strong storytelling, and that's what I focus on. But also pouring into my communities in other ways as well too. So I have a newsletter, I have an announcement channel, and also keep my stories active. I think that's really important. I always tell people, your stories is for your current community, which you want to make sure you're keeping them engaged. And then your feed is to attract new people. So that's always how I tell people.
That's
I look
great
at it.
advice.
Yeah.
That's
What
great.
was your second question that you asked me? I only have one glass of wine, so I don't know what's going on.
That happened with my sister, by the way, on the episode. We were drinking on the episode, and she was just drunk. Like, wait, what happened? What's going on? I'm like, girl. But no, in being a creative and a content creator, how do you manage burnout or try to prevent burnout?
Yeah. The easiest way I do it is by prioritizing, because I think people always ask me like, how do I find the balance between having a 9 to 5, being a content creator, and then also now I also work for a nonprofit as well too. And the best way is by looking at my priorities for the day and figuring out what's the most important thing. And sometimes for me, it's my most important thing is not focusing about making a reel every single day. But maybe it's like on Thursday, we're going to sit down, we're going to bang out this reel, and we're going to get it done. And I also think the other way that I avoid burnout as much, because sometimes it is inevitable, is by staying present in the things that I do. So when I go to dinner with my friends, I'm present. Like, and I'm very clear, like, this is not a content day for me. Like, I am fully locked in, phone is face down. And so also like pouring into other communities as well too, like other content creators that I love and I enjoy, making sure that I support them. And then also disconnecting, like doing activities that don't require social media, a computer, or internet. I think that's something that helps me to keep my creativity high during those moments where I'm not creating for social.
I love it. I'm like riding your Peloton that you have in the back, that kind of gives you a little bit of that.
Move her.
So I want to kind of stay here really quick because you mentioned now having a nonprofit gig on top of your 9 to 5 corporate job. So you kind of live in two different worlds, right? You're corporate by day, you're creative by night. How do those two versions of you talk to each other?
Yeah, it's so crazy because, and you know this, I feel like I've had a million jobs in my lifetime, right? And I'm always like, God, why would you make me do all these random jobs? Like, why couldn't I just came out of college like swinging, like,
Now, I didn't ask you to preach on this here Sunday. But it's a word.
Come forward. No, but yeah, I used to always ask God, like I went to school for business, and if we decide to have children in the future, I'd be like, baby, rethink business degrees and get real specific, get real niche down, like business comms, business, I don't know, business economics, I don't know, but get niche down. So yeah, I got a degree, I got a bachelor's in business, and I was blessed to get a corporate job out of college, but it wasn't like something I was excited about. It wasn't something where I felt like I was using my degree. And this is also like what, mid 2000s before the 2010s. And so like every job was like, in order for you to push these papers and put some staples in and some paper clips, you need to have a bachelor's. Like that was that era. And so, and also I wanted to have stable income. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take these like corporate jobs that like really don't have anything to do with what I went to school for. But fast forward to now, I work in operations. I call myself like an operations guru. I've worked in tech for almost, I don't know, I think 10 years now. I stopped counting after a while. If you work in tech, you know why. You just stop counting. And if you ever work in operations, you do a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And I think all the jobs, I got a heavy knot.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. It's like all those things have helped me to where I'm at right now. Like I've worked at early stage tech companies. I've worked at mid stage, mature. And I will say like some of my best lessons that I've learned from working at an early stage company is how do you build a company. And so that's something that I took with me into building Dominek City. Like when I started Dominek City, I didn't think of it like, I'm going to do this cute little blog. I thought about like, baby, this is a business. Let's get a business email. Let's get a website. Let's create a media kit. When somebody emails me, let's respond within 24 hours. So I'll say that doing that, working at an early stage startup has definitely taught me how do I continue to build my business. And also like it teaches you like really cool like applications like Notion and Trello, how to organize your thoughts, how to do a rollout, how to do A/B testing. So that's how that has played a part in it. And then in the past couple of years, I've branched over from just focusing on food to food, travel, and wine. So the nonprofit I work with is called Black Travel Alliance. And our goal is to amplify the work of Black creators, journalists, photographers, content creators by creating more opportunities because we have to increase our presence in travel media. So that's what I do. I work in partnerships. And since I have the experience of working with brands and knowing what contracts look like and knowing if a content creator is being lowballed and also providing education to content creators, that's how that kind of comes together. So all the things that I've done in the past all are interconnected in some way. Now, thank God.
No, I get it. I hear you. I see you and can relate to you in the sense of I went to school for broadcasting. My mom picked my degree for me. I didn't really want to go to college right away. I was wanting to be the kid. I learned what a gap year was and try my hands out in, entertainment. And my mom was like, if you do that, you can't come back home. That's another story for another day. Because, Black parents in the Midwest have different thoughts. Go to school.
You're going to go to school.
You're going to go to school. You ain't going to be up in here. So, in starting like podcasting and stuff is something that had become fulfilling. And like you said, stop chasing algorithms and all of these things and just finding the joy in this. And so, in doing this in 2020, and seeing the highs, the lows, and just things kind of like being flat for a while, I was like, well, I'm still not going to stop because I still enjoy doing this. And at some point, everything will weave itself together. And from there, like you said, I've worked in operations and it puts you in a different mindset of how to run certain things. So, having my own candle business, being able to consult for other podcasts, working on another podcast and all of that, like branching things together. So it feels good to see things come together, but I'm also trying to see where the money resides. So,
Always.
yes, always. Cause like, I'm always that person that's like, oh, I would love for my talents to pay me. I want to be rewarded for that financially. It's cool to have followers and things like that, but also we got these bills. Yeah. So that was very real, and I was like, damn, I feel seeing it and in having conversations with people, and that's why I love this podcast so much, because I get to just connect, and people are able to show up and just be themselves and put it out there, because people don't know what goes into everything that you do. Or you talk about, hey, like, I want my reel to be like this. The audio is very important to me. The angles, this is important. So when I put it together for you guys, my audience, like, I want you guys to receive it. I want you to feel the intention. I want you to feel the love behind what I post. And when I make my candles, I share with people that I'm very intentional when I pour. Like, if I'm having a funky day, I'm not pouring because I don't want that energy in your house. People don't think about rituals like that. And so I'm very also, intentional when it comes to things like that. So it's a huge deal. And when I was even talking to my guy last night over dinner about him wanting to kind of help me with my business and maximizing certain things and outsourcing, I was like, I don't necessarily want to outsource like that because you're taking the ritual from me. I'm like, that's cool. I was like, once you get to a certain point and having these connections, like, I get it. You want to be able to see the ROI, right? I'm like, but there's also a very intentional part that's happening here that you are trying to outsource, and that takes a lot from the company. When people do that and they do it so quick, that's how you have people that you see that the brand changes a lot. Like, we see in beauty all the time. Yeah. Products used to be a certain way. Now there are all these chemicals and you're not reacting a certain way. It's like, man, I love that. So I don't want that taken from me. So
yeah. No, I think you bring up a really good point, because I always tell people, because people are like, when are you going to go full time? I said, babes, have you seen what private health insurance costs? And so I think the reason why I am able to create what I want to create is because I do have this 9 to 5 that I say it funds my passion, but it also teaches me a lot about scaling a business. And just like how you said, outsources, people always like, you should pay someone to do this, and you should pay someone to do this. And like, someone's like, you should pay for a video editor. And I'm like, girl, to produce one video a week. Yeah. And, but also you need to know how to do these things before you start giving them away to somebody else. And I always tell people, like, sometimes, like, outsourcing is smart. You have to think about what needs to be outsourced. Like, for example, I don't do business taxes. I had to hire an accountant because that's not my ministry. That's not where I'm at. So I think it's a really good point of being intentional when you do decide to outsource, or when you do decide, like, this is a time sucker for me. Can someone else do this better? But yeah, so I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it gets people kind of lose sight of whatever their bottom line is. And like you said, like, there are certain things that, hey, if somebody can do this for me, great, that removes it from my plate. But also it is, can I suck this up and take 3 hours or however long it's going to take you to do something? Is that really going to eat me alive?
Yeah.
And so in that, you still have creative control and freedom over whatever it is that you're putting out, right? I would say sometimes in this, in our spaces, in our worlds, and we talked about burnout. I want to know what helps you kind of stay focused and out of your head. Like sometimes our minds will, are kind of mean to us. What
Mhm.
keeps you, how do you push that out and still proceed to push forward?
Yeah. So I have a couple practices that I do. One thing that I like to do, and I got it from, not sure if you follow Les Alfred. She has the She's So Lucky podcast. She has
Okay.
this concept of journaling best case scenario. So I like to do this whenever I'm about to have a really hard day, an important day, a heavy day, like it might be packed with like meetings and I'm doing all three of my jobs, not together, in case my employer is watching. Um,
Right.
but like when I know I have a busy day and it's like, bro, this is gonna be a taxing day. So I write out how the day should go. Like in the best case scenario, this is how the day should go. That's number one. That's one thing that I do. And then another way that I kind of focus on not burning myself out or not having this voice in my head that's like telling me like, is this good enough? Are we doing the right thing? It's like always knowing what my why is or my North Star. So why did I create an account? I created a social media account because I wanted to amplify the voices of Black owned businesses. So I have to ask myself, that then expanded to minority owned, marginalized communities, women owned, um, and then so every time I post, I'm like, am I doing this? Am I doing this amplification? And am I doing them a solid by sharing this, or am I educating people or am I making them laugh because this world is really sad every day? So it's like, as long as it falls into like one of those three buckets when I post, I feel comfortable and I feel good about it. And then I also think about how much time I takes like doing this. Could I have a process? There's always a Notion template involved in my life. So it's like that's what I do. And then also sometimes like saying it out loud to my friends. Like I had imposter syndrome a couple days ago and I just needed to type it out. And I just be like, why am I going to this charity dinner? Like, and I have to remember that I'm always where I am supposed to be. God always places me exactly where I need to be. And then my other favorite phrase is, "He don't play about me," and I'm one of God's favorites. And when I have that conversation with myself, I'm like, okay, and that voice gets quiet. Um, but yeah.
I love that. So I have one that I haven't said as much recently. Because girl, I live in my head. I'm an Aquarius. So and I'm like, no, but I always say, God, show me how good it can get.
Mm-hmm.
And that helps me through my day or pushing through whatever little negative thought that tries to creep in.
Yeah.
And it is just God show me how good it can get because like you said, like on the other side of things, it's like we create this fear and anxiety and stress sometimes, and it's really nothing about future things that will never even happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a way to recenter and ground myself.
Yeah.
Um, and every day now I need to really be saying it because right now, I shared with you that I was laid off, and currently I'm working as a TA at a school, and the children have moderate to severe autism, and it's one kid, and it is, a kid that's probably more on the mod side, and he's verbal, but he is a nightmare. And I'm just like, God, please just cover me and show
Mm-hmm.
me how good it can get, because this is just a moment in time. And like you said, there's a reason why I'm here. And in
Mm-hmm.
this space, I really do feel appreciated. I feel seen by my peers, other coworkers in the building. So that does feel really good. But
Mm-hmm.
every day, yeah.
Testing your gangster.
Girl, now this little guy has gotten aggressive recently with us, and it's really weird because his brother, they're in the
Mm-hmm.
same class, which we know we didn't do that growing up, siblings being in the same class.
Yeah.
But his brother is the one that they're like, okay, he is, gets aggressive, baby.
Just
No, he doesn't. No, he does not.
yeah.
All the issues that you guys said about him is him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also allowing yourself to realize in this being a job, this is temporary for me. And this is just a stepping stone to where I need to get to. And
Mm-hmm.
so that brings me back to reality too. And I'm able to release whatever stressors or tension that I could be holding in that space. It's like
Yeah.
stepping stone, learning the lesson so I can move on to the next chapter of my life.
Yeah. I agree with
Yeah.
you. You know what? Sometimes the role that you hold can make you, as a society, can make you feel like the role that you hold is wholly part of your identity.
Mhm.
And I used to envy people um when I got out of college who like went to school for what they studied for. And I'm like, God, why can't that be me? Like, why am I here removing staples? But I then have to remember that like my job does not define me, and
Right.
outside of my job, I am all these amazing things. I have all these amazing passions, and once I was able to separate myself from my role and realize that I have all these talents and hobbies, it made that job much easier. Like I wouldn't go into work angry and wanting to quit every day, or
Yeah.
find a reason why I couldn't come in that day. Like, I mean, I came up with some crazy reasons not to go to work. Like, my door is locked from the inside. Like, like I had a job I hated that bad.
Girl, but
But
how
yeah.
it's really like that. And then I think about places where I might have stayed too long. Like in hindsight, at the job where I got laid off, I was there too long. When I really think about it, and I remember having a conversation with one of my coworkers, one of the girls I managed, and we were talking about goals, passions. They knew that, I was podcasting and doing all these different things and whatnot, and where I could be. And I always remember the secretary from the company will come and say, "Girl, I saw your picture. Why aren't you out here doing this and this and that?" And so it again speaks to people seeing your light, your talent, your passion, and like you said, this steady income, your health insurance. A
Mhm.
lot of us keep these corporate jobs because health insurance is very expensive.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember talking to the girl that I managed, and we were talking about everything. And she was like, "Okay, so when is your exit day? You need to put a deadline on this to get out of here." And you know, I could never. I was like, I would love for this to be over. I think it was probably like a year or two from when we were talking about the conversation, and they were also restructuring the company.
Mhm.
And then as they restructured, I ended up in a department where I hated this chick guts. And when black people tell y'all all skin folk ain't kinfolk, that is absolutely true.
Mhm.
And my the person I started to report to was a bully, kind of miserable. Her life was this company, and the camaraderie and like kinship that I felt at this company no longer existed. And I'm just like, oh my God. And so
Mhm.
when that time, came, and I was getting laid off, at first I was like, my eyes got watery, and I was like, I don't like you here. I don't like you.
Yeah.
I don't like you. And so this is okay. It might be tough, but I'm gonna let this go.
Yeah.
And I hope karma gets you at some point. But I
If
say
I
all
mean,
that
yeah.
to say
Look, that's what I said. I don't have to be revengeful because God got me all the time.
yes, all the time. And so, I had to just release that.
Yeah.
And I'm happy, wish I was making a little more money at my job, but I have a little part-time, you know, gig, doing some consulting and, social media management. So it's cool. But it's just knowing, it's really putting that faith and that trust in yourself,
Mhm.
to be able to move forward and succeed. And sometimes we really do have to bet on ourselves in
Yeah.
order to elevate to the next level.
Yeah. And sometimes betting on yourself, I think sometimes people think betting on yourself is like going all in and quitting the job. But sometimes betting on yourself might be, okay, I work 8 hours at this job and now I got to log off. I'm going to spend 4 hours doing this, or I'm going to give up my weekend so I can shoot content all weekend.
Yeah,
Like betting on yourself doesn't mean having to like give everything up in order
that
to get to the next level. So I always try to remind people of that as well too. And also, like, being 100% your own boss sounds extremely glamorous. But babes, if you aren't organized at your 9 to 5, guess how hard it's going to be for you to be organized to run your own business.
yep,
You
and
know,
that's facts. And I can as a person, and as creatives, we tend to sometimes be our thoughts are all over the place, and
hmm
so streamlining that in is using your calendar, like scheduling things out, like you said. That was one of the things when I was working with my friend. I had to tell him, I say, Pat, you have to use your calendar because you're gonna forget. I'm like, when you know you're full on entrepreneur, people have to be able to accept, have access to you. So that means picking up your phone. I know you don't like that, but you have to force yourself to do these things to get things done in order to, make the money and to get other things going for yourself. But if you're unresponsive, if you're not scheduling things out and being mindful of that, it's not beneficial to you. So I'm here to help you organize in that space. And that's it. So it's really imperative to do that. And as a person that I'm a procrastinator, and I don't know. Actually, I don't like, but in that knowing that, saying, hey, okay, I have this long laundry list. Let's break this list up. What's important? Like you said, what can I get done today? Okay.
Yeah.
Was that hard? And you were like, no, girl. Okay. So, and then I have to have a talk with myself. Why did you make that a thing? Like I have to talk myself down sometimes.
I talk to myself often, daily, hourly sometimes. You know what? I read the Atomic Habit book. At first, I thought people who read it were in a cult. And if you've read it, just know that I've changed my thoughts on it. I actually read the book. But there was like a part of the book where it's like, I'm a procrastinator as well too, so I'll put that out there. Everyone thinks I'm like, I am a planner, but I also know exactly how long it takes me to do anything because I believe in time blocking. So that's a whole other thing. But in the Atomic Habits book, it says if it takes you 2 minutes, if it takes you less than 2 minutes, just do it. And so now I had to start looking at tasks like, girl, this will just take you like 3 seconds. Like, go grab your laptop and just do it. But also sometimes we give ourselves these really big to-do lists and we're like, we're going to get all this done today. And it's like, girl, you actually need to break that into 5 days and prioritize what's most important and do that first. And I'm a person who I have a planner. Girl, she's never too far away. I have a planner and I use it religiously because there's something about the gratification of checking off a to-do list. And so, I mean, I schedule things like I'll write in there, figure out what time you go and work out this week, or clear your inbox. Like, I mean, sometimes those are the tasks to do the other things. So I'm definitely a believer in like to-do list, prioritizing, because that's the only way I get what needs to be done. Because I don't get it all done anymore. Because I was like, I don't want that badge of honor anymore. Because trying to get it done all the time is actually what leads to burnout. Because you're actually not prioritizing. You're just speeding through things. So.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. I would say that's one of the only fair, nice, decent, because everything else is passive aggressive behavior. Am I all that? But I would say that was one of the most solid questions that my old boss did ask me. Why do you feel like you need to get all of this done today? Why can't something roll over to tomorrow? And I think how we were raised, and I don't know, how it was at your school growing up. I went to Montessori school. And so a lot of things go back to being able to multitask, being able to, you can do this, you can do that. And that's how school kind of teaches you. Because think about how we take classes, you go to a block schedule and you have all these classes every day. So you're juggling everything, where it's kind of detrimental to us in hindsight.
Yeah.
And then you don't, and sometimes it also pushes us to rush through things and not take a step back and view the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
And so when she said that, I was like, oh my God, like I don't know. Like I think about being, a little bit of a procrastinator, or, just wanting to just get it done. So it was just off my plate. So I can say that I did it, but at that point, I knew I wasn't putting for the effort because I hated her. So I was like, I could meet you in the middle with a little hate. And so, this will take me to redo it anyway. I already had the other thing drawn up anyway. So just like, all right, here, raggedy. But, in that, being able to pace myself. And I think once I kind of understood that has helped me a little more. But even now, like I'm in the midst of producing a sex cast with one of my friends. And so we are doing it in seasons, but a lot of the legwork has fallen on me. And also, if he's new to this space, so I knew that this was something that I was going to have to do, and then show him how to do certain things. So season 2, it could be more balanced. So so I'm like, okay, let me do this now. So then in the end, like, it's a lighter load. And you kind of have to look at life like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
my favorite phrase is, do things your future self will thank you for. So that's what I try to say to myself to avoid procrastination. But I was having this conversation the other day with another group of millennials. And I think we were taught to be multitaskers. We were taught to be task oriented. Like, think about, like, back in school, like, we had agendas. Like, that's the reason why I have a planner so much now, because I had an agenda in grade school. But I always tell people there's no such thing as multitasking, because when you do multitask, something suffers. So now that's the way that I operate. Like, I'm not about to tell my employer I'm about to multitask and do these things, because that means something will suffer. That means something will get rushed through. Something's not going to get the same level of quality and thought. But yeah, there's like an amazing method that people call glass and plastic ball. So glass ball, if you drop it, it shatters, obviously. That's your most important priorities. Plastic can bounce, so move it to another day. And so that's how I approach projects, to-do lists. I'm like, yeah, girl, we could do this on Friday. I don't know why you this off. You just want to check it off so you can feel good. Girl, just move it to Friday. And just being realistic with ourselves, because after you, like, juggle a lot of things in terms of work and personal endeavors, it could be a very long day, And so sometimes the best thing that you need when you have those long days is rest. So making sure that you're getting that rest while you're doing all these things.
No, that's real. That's real. And I received that. And I'm going to look at it like that, the glass ball and the plastic ball too. Because that'll definitely help my eyes. I say,
I love to roll it over.
Listen, exactly. Because I will go and take a nap real quick. I'm like, all right, cool. Too much happening. Taking a nap. And I'm trying to get out of that habit, that being my response to things. But also, like, that happened the other day. I had so much happening, and he was like, oh, we're going to go here after. Blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I cannot commit to that. I said, I cannot do that, because I know my body, and this is too much. So I'm going to go home, and I'm going to get some rest, and I will talk to you tomorrow. So, knowing there is power in no, guys.
No is a full sentence, y'all.
It really is. So I want to ask you this as we pivot back to Dominek City. What city surprised you the most when it came to food and culture?
You know what is crazy? I don't think a city surprises me, because I always have, like, this open mindset when I go in. So I'm just like, whatever happens, happens. And that's just, like, how I approach every city, because I don't ever want to, like, feel let down. But what I will say is, off the top of my head, I just came back from Toronto. Toronto shocked me a little bit.
Really?
It's a very diverse city. Like, you got everybody, Bengali, you got Asian, you got Caribbean. But what really shocked me was, I was at a restaurant. It was a Caribbean restaurant, and I had, like, some jerk chicken. And baby, when I said there was heat on it, like, there was heat on it. Like, I felt the heartburn as I was eating it. And then I was like, oh my God. And I looked over at the table to the left of me, and some white people, and I'm like, they just eating it like it's not a problem. So I was shocked that, like, eating, like, Caribbean food like that. But their food is seasoned.
Maybe they need the flavor.
Girl, I was just shocked. But their food is seasoned so well everywhere you go. And not seasoned like salt, pepper, lemon pepper, and garlic, granulated garlic, but like spices. And it's like an explosion in your mouth. And you're like, girl, what is that? So that kind of surprised me a little bit. And then another city that I would call it a foodie city. Like, if you're a foodie, you need to go there. Portland, Oregon. I always tell people, like, if you've never thought about going to Portland, Oregon, go to Portland, Oregon. And people are always like, is there Black people in Portland? Yes, babes, because there's Black people that work for Meta and works for Nike.
Right, I was going to say, girl, they work for Nike.
Right. There's also people who are born and raised Portland, Oregon as well, too.
Okay.
But the food scene out there is great. Like, they have, like, girl, Filipino food, Vietnamese food, Caribbean food. I had some of the best West African food when I was in Portland. Did not expect to come back and tell people that. So if I had to think of 2 cities off the rip, Toronto in Canada, and then Portland, Oregon on the West Coast.
What is your favorite city so far? I mean, and we're as far as taste, I'll say this: in certain food items, being from the Midwest, and like we're very particular about our Chinese food, or the way we do pizza or burgers, barbecue. I'm very particular about my barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
What's a place that you absolutely are like, I have to do this again?
Food where I'm like, I have to do this again. I mean, honestly, anything below the Mason-Dixon line, I just feel like they season it with like the right amount of salt and pepper. Like, I love New York. I love New York. Yes, we're a melting pot. Yes, you can have any food in the world, but baby, nobody's gonna season no food like the Midwest and the South. I just want to put that out there. So how about I say this instead? Things that I will not really seek out in New York.
She's like, let me rephrase your question.
Yeah, this might be a hot take. I will not lean towards barbecue in New York. And if I do go to your barbecue restaurant, I need to know where you're from, because every region has like a specific type of barbecue.
Yep.
But sometimes people just be slapping barbecue sauce on it, and they be like, "Here you go." And I'm like, "No, babe, I like a good dry rub. I like my meat to be so good it don't even need sauce."
Say it one more time for the people in the back, because that is.
Girl, I love me some baby back or some country style ribs, dry rub. Okay. The other thing I don't really fool with too much in New York is Chinese takeout. I want to be very clear what I said. I said Chinese takeout. I didn't say Chinese restaurant, because I'm thinking about like going to the Rice House. Like
right.
Because like the rice here just it don't hit. It don't hit. It's a little too light skinned.
That's a very hot take, because people always say, no, you have to go to New York, and I'm like, no, I don't.
And we have some of the best Chinese takeout food. Now, we have some of the best sit-down Chinese restaurants. Yes, babes, we do. But Chinese takeout, I go to one place, and I had to do some research to find out, why do I like this Chinese takeout spot that is on the Upper West Side, a neighborhood I don't like to frequent often. Why am I going out here to go get this Chinese food? Come to find out, they're from Chicago. At least it was like, that makes sense now. Because Chicago, New York, or Chicago, St. Louis, 5 hours. And I was like, that's probably what it is. It's that Midwest connect. But so those are things I stay away from in New York: barbecue and Chinese takeout.
I'm very, listen, and I know how to actually, make ribs and stuff. My dad taught me.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube video coming soon. At some point, I'll edit that footage. But I said all that to say, coming from a family of vacuums and all of that stuff, I was having an argument with this guy out here, and he was just trying to prove to me, and which let me know you're going above and beyond. Also, you arguing with a woman about food, weirdo. But two, I'm like, your food isn't good. I was like, if you have, I said something like, okay, if I'm gonna let my food marinate, like simmer. He was like, marinate? You don't marinate, barbecue, feed me. I'm like, well, if you are putting seasoning on something, that is, you're marinating, like it's gonna marinate overnight.
Yeah.
So that you can use that verbiage for that. You absolutely can. But I remember there's been multiple places out here that I have visited, with somebody that said it was oh so good. And I'm like, this is just sauce. I want my sauce on the side, because this will let me know if you really can cue, because it's no flavor. You're masking it. And baby, I had the worst barbecue of my life from a man whose family is from like the Midwest South. And I'm like, so I said, this food, you said you was on and I told him, I said, you said you're on a fast? He said, yeah. I said, well, this food tastes like that. Like this, I don't, where's the flavor? Because you are on a fast, you have to do certain things. Doesn't mean that the food has to taste like that. You just don't eat it.
Yeah.
So, girl, it is a thing. I cannot.
Because you know what it is people think that barbecuing is just cooking meat open fire. There's also a smoking of the meat aspect to barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some people forget about that. And, sometimes your meat it do need to marinate so it can tenderize a little bit, so it can loosen up, so it can get some tenderism. Tenderism.
I went to that restaurant, by the way, and I was like, baked beans fire. I don't necessarily believe that. I don't think I like smoked oxtail for real. I like that definitely jerk style, Caribbean style. And the ribs it was cool to me, but again, my sister and my dad enjoyed it, but I was like thinking of it from that perspective. I'm like, Daddy, your ribs taste better than this. And he's like, well, I don't smoke. I was like, I know it's two different processes, but like you said, being able to cue and still have a little bit of that smokiness to it, that's an art. That's a science.
Yeah, my daddy makes one of the best brisket. And if you're smoking meats, you have to have patience. And you're gonna have you have to have the right stuff, So yeah, I'm with you. I'm not eating everybody barbecue. I need to know where you're from. Also, if you frying chicken, I need to know where your family from. Because you about to over fry my stuff, about to be hard. Also, fried fish. I'm not eating catfish anywhere else either, unless I'm in the South or back home in St. Louis. I'm not eating catfish.
Wait a second, you don't like your chicken fried hard?
No, I don't. I don't want it to be. I want cornmeal pellets. I want it to be nice and juicy on the inside. I don't want it to
can still be juicy, but fried hard. So okay.
Some of the places I've been to, they fry it way too hard.
Okay. Then that's fair. That's fair. I think what's interesting about eating in LA and like you said, melting pot, similar, same things that you said about New York. It's the consistency or the lack thereof. And so when people ask, what's your favorite restaurant? And I tell people Gyukaku, and it's like, well, you can get that anywhere. I'm like, exactly. Because I cooked it. It's consistent. There are places that you go, there was a spot called Poppy and Rose downtown, like by Skid Row, that used to be amazing. And they used to have this breakfast skillet that was fire, great portions, all of that. And what do you bet the next time you went there, all of it was different. I said, did you guys get a new chef? And they said, yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can tell. They're like, really? I said, yeah, I can tell in the way that this tastes. I can tell in the portions, and I get people, you cutting costs and corners and you want to raise the prices, but at least give me the same flavor. And it does not hit like that anymore. Yeah. But that's one thing that I've experienced a lot out here, the lack of consistency when it comes to going out.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, you spend a lot of money. And I always tell people, I was like, hey, you're definitely gonna get some good drinks. The food, I don't know.
Right. I need both. I can drink at home, but I'm really big on that. I'm like really big on consistency. I'm really big on like service. Like all those things matter to me. Like, I mean, if it's like a sit down dinner, if it's takeout, that's a different story. But like, I need consistency. And if you aren't consistent, or if your food just ain't good, or I'm getting bad service, guess what? I'm not doing. Not telling nobody about you.
Yep.
Keep it cute. So I'm just not saying nothing.
No, and that's important. Like we talked about earlier, like your footprint. How are you treating people? How are you treating your staff? How are you treating everybody? It's a full on experience, and a lot of places have recently closed because of that. It's like if the rent is too high. All of our bills are too high, and so we want to be intentional about where we spend our dollars. So sorry, buddy, you didn't make the cut, but that's one of the things that I consistently think about. And every time I've gone out, I'm like, I could have had a V8 at home.
Wait.
It's true though. So as we wrap up this episode, I want to ask you a couple of questions really quick. Dominek, what is the sexiest meal you ever had?
I mean, all I do is eat sexy meals. I'll say the most recent one I actually had, I went to Saga, which is a Michelin-starred restaurant here in New York. It sits on the 63rd and 62nd floor. And what makes it sexy is you get these incredible views of like the Manhattan Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge, all of like New York. But then like the plating is like I mean, like the portions are like this, right? They're like little, right? But the plateware is beautiful. Like the plating is gorgeous. Like it looks like literal art. Like you don't want to eat it, but you're hungry, so you're gonna eat it. But yes, I would have to say Saga in Manhattan. Add it to your list if you're coming to New York.
And so I'm gonna assume you do believe that food can be foreplay.
Yeah. Who does, I love it. I'm like in the space of my life right now where I'm like, okay, we're not wearing sweatpants all the time, or we're not always gonna wear a 2-piece set. Like, let's put on some heels, let's put on a dress, let's put our shapewear on, and let's go out to dinner. So like to me now, like dining is like becoming like a process starts even before I get to the restaurant. It's like the getting dressed. It's like picking the right fragrance. It's like sashaying into the restaurant with your fur on. It's all of this. Not taking any no takeout because we're going to another spot after that. So yeah, it can definitely be sexy all the way through.
What is your toxic food trait?
Girl, the list is long. I love me a little spicy chicken sandwich from Checkers, aka Rally's up here. Chick-fil-A, anything that's fast food, I think it could be toxic. I love range in my life, so I can go anywhere from fine dining, Michelin star to Taco Bell and White Castles, because that always kills you the next day. So it's definitely toxic.
Oh, Miss White Castle. I did find Emos in the Aldi freezer out here, so I have 2 Emos pieces in my freezer.
That's crazy. So I'm gonna go look after this call.
Yeah, baby, it is. I mean, heaven, a slice of heaven.
Yeah.
My question to you is, what does it mean to you to take up space in food and wine as a Black woman?
To me, to take up space just means me showing up authentically as myself. I'm very unapologetic about supporting Black-owned businesses. I like to say that I support businesses that are absolutely incredible and they happen to be Black-owned. So yeah, me showing up, being unapologetic, screaming very loud about a Black-owned restaurant, a women-owned restaurant. But also for me, I think it's really important for other people to see, like, there's different ways that you can be in the food space. It doesn't always have to be the traditional way, like a chef or a mixologist or a som, but you can be a content creator because the work that you do in the food space can uplift those people. So that's what it means for me.
All right. And last question for you before we get up out of here. And speaking of spotlighting Black-owned businesses, why do you feel like that visibility is so necessary for us, especially in this time right now?
Yeah, I mean, we called it the June boom when everybody wanted to support Black people. I think my friend Anella called it that. But I feel like always well, I can go back a little bit farther before I was even born. My great uncle, along with family members, owned one of the only Black-owned grocery stores in Cincinnati, Ohio, in a municipality that was predominantly Black. And that business helped people to feed their families. He gave people like food on credit, but like understanding the importance of the challenges of being a Black entrepreneur and the barriers that we have. I believe the number is like, in comparison to our white counterpart, we get 1/3 of their capital for starting a business. So, normally when you're a business owner and you're a Black business owner, you're doing it all on your own. You're raising the money, you're doing the accounting, you're doing the schedule, you're working, you're cooking, you're doing all the things. And so to me, if I can use my platform to amplify the work that they're doing, and I think to serve as like marketing for them, spread good word, I think that's really important because I've just had so many people in my family who are entrepreneurs, and this is before the age of social media. But guess what kept them going? Word of mouth. They didn't have no Instagram back in the 60s. So the way that you stayed around is by giving good service, providing value to the community, supporting the community. And so like this is my way of doing that as well as supporting my community.
I love that. Well, Dom, thank you so much for giving me a moment of your time today. It has been truly a pleasure to just connect with you and talk and get to know the ins and outs of your brain and just learning new stuff just for me to take back and sit with that for a while. And I hope that you will come back and join us another time. We can do a part 2 because you'll be, on the billboard in Times Square. Who knows?
Now, money.
Yes, money. Look, fill her cup, Lord, and let it overflow in health, wealth,
Receipts.
prosperity, all of that. Okay. So thank
Receipts.
y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of Whiskey Soured Libations and Conversations. I will see y'all back here next week.